He is investigated by both local and international law enforcement authorities. Also tonight, minority caucus in Parliament ends the sit-in protest in front of Ioko's offices to demand release of Chairman Wontumi, who is now spending his third night in custody. Also, we've got the very latest on that strike declaration by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. The Minister of Health has been speaking to their matter. I'm glad you made it here on Ghana Tonight, whether you're watching us here on TV3 or listening to us on 392.7 FM, or perhaps on X.com, Facebook, YouTube, and 3news.com. Be a part of the program, bring in your thoughts, your comments, and your questions on any of our big stories tonight. Use the hashtag Ghana Tonight. I promise today I'll be reading some of them. Well, now let's bring you a summary of the night's biggest stories in Ghana Brief.
Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Sai has confirmed that Chairman Wontumi is under investigation for fraud, financial loss to the state, and money laundering. The probe includes asset recovery efforts to secure suspected criminal proceeds. Additionally, Wontumi is involved in a separate investigation tied to international organized crime conducted with global law enforcement and led by Ioko. Minority members staged a walkout from Parliament to protest the detention of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Inchibwe-Siakon. But before the walkout, the Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin asked the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Ioko, to immediately revoke or vary the 50 million CD bill granted the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the party, Inchibwe-Siakon, popularly called Chairman Wontumi. According to him, the bill condition is just to punish Wontumi, and if the situation persists, the caucus may be forced to absent themselves from parliamentary proceedings.
Ioko cannot arrogate the power of demanding justification at the inquiry level. And then you make the bill condition so onerous. It is clear that this is being used to punish him. The rule of law must be followed, due process must be followed.
The Minister for Labour, Employment and Jobs, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, is urging the Nurses and Midwives Association to hold off on plans to strike and return to the negotiation table. Speaking exclusively to our Labour Affairs correspondent, Daniel Opoku, Dr. Pelpo warned that a strike at this time could put lives at risk and further strain Ghana's health sector.
When we embark on a strike, it has a total effect on society. In whatever sector you belong, it has a direct effect on our development. So it means that employers, stakeholders must always work together to come to conclusions where there is no need for a strike.
Government is set to begin payment of nursing trainee allowances in arrears from January 2026, despite a strong push not to pay trainee allowances. In the NDC's lead-up campaign, the government made a U-turn when it presented its first fiscal policy document in March. At a thank you tour in the Bono East region, President John Mahama says government remains committed to its assurances.
Let me assure you that the minister has made adequate provision in the budget for the payment of allowances. And the allowances will be paid from January. And so you'll get the arrears. When we pay the allowances, you'll receive the arrears. What has delayed it is that the minister is putting in a system so that you'll be paid through the controller and accountant general, so that every month when workers receive their salaries, trainees will also receive their allowances.
Ghanaians expect cost of free SHS to be shared between parents and government according to latest findings on citizens' expectations of the new government by the Center for Democratic Development, Ghana. Per the 1,331 participants involved, the progress of the educational policy continues to be threatened if financing is limited to only government. Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of administration, Nana Oyebampo Ado, said the findings resonate with the NDC's reset agenda.
The findings spoke to issues with implementation of free SHS and the need to review free SHS. So these really resonate and fall in place in terms of the proposals also that NDC has. So as a listening government, we are going to take the recommendations on board and we will have further engagements.
Ghana Brief there for you. If you just joined us, you're right in time for our very fast, big story for tonight. Coming up, multiple and concurrent investigations. Tonight, new information on why the NPP's Ashanti Region Chairman, Bernard Enchibwe-Siakon, also known as Chairman Wontumi, is still behind bars. Tonight, we are learning much more about why law enforcement authorities have been on the heels of Chairman Wontumi. The Attorney General's office reveals the NPP's Ashanti Region Chair is a person of interest and subject of multiple investigations. According to Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai, Chairman Wontumi is being investigated for criminal offences, including fraud, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. We also know that he tells us that, well, first of all, right? Remember when Chairman Wontumi squealed over his frozen accounts? Tonight, we are connecting the dots, and we can also tell you that those accounts are frozen as part of asset recovery efforts. Now, according to Dr. Sai, law enforcement agencies are after Wontumi's assets because they believe they come from proceeds of crime, and freezing them will prevent the dissipation of those assets. Now, admittedly, bank accounts are not the only form of assets, but at the same time, there is no indication or confirmation of other properties being seized. And that's where we connect the dots. So that's what the Deputy Attorney General has been telling us. But here comes the bombshell. Accusation against Chairman Wontumi also indicates that the chairman of the NPP in the Ashanti region is also the subject of a separate investigation linked to an international organized crime scheme. Now, this second probe, Dr. Sai notes, is a collaboration between global law enforcement partners and the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. So let's kickstart our conversations now. I'll bring in Kweku Ansa Asare. He's lawyer and former director of the Ghana School of Law. Thank you so much, lawyer, for joining us here on the program. But these charges, they are very grievous, aren't they? Well, accusation at this point.
Good evening.
Good evening, lawyer. I'm saying that these accusations being made from the state, so to speak, are very grievous, aren't they?
The line is not clear at all. The question again?
Yes, I'm asking about the grievousness of the charges, or excuse me, the accusations that the Deputy Attorney General has made. He tells us that Chairman Wontumi is not only subject of local investigations, but also international investigations connected to cross-border crimes, so to speak. He's also being investigated concurrently, locally, between agencies for fraud, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. These are very grievous, aren't they?
Who has caused financial loss?
Chairman Wontumi, allegedly.
Chairman Wontumi.
Yes, that is the accusation.
We haven't had, that I haven't read it. All that I've heard is, enjoy news and what I watch on your screen. Now, if the person is about the conditions imposed, my view is that the 50 million is not excessive, to a person like Chairman Wontumi, who at one time used to brandish gold bars to indicate, his work in society. And I don't think 50 million the bond is excessive for somebody who owns Akonta mining. So I disagree with those who are saying that it is too excessive and violation of Chairman Wontumi's fundamental human rights.
Indeed.
On the contrary.
Lawyer, I think you may have got me wrong, perhaps because you can't hear me properly. But I am asking your opinion on the accusations now revealed by the Deputy Attorney General. He says that Chairman Wontumi is under investigation for fraud, for money laundering, and for causing financial loss to the state. At the same time, he is also a person of interest in cross-border crime, and that is why IOCO is working with some global investigative or law enforcement bodies. And I'm asking, for a person to be accused of such serious crimes, there's got to be a story behind it, and I was hoping that you could share with us how serious such an accusation is.
Well, the Attorney General is responsible for initiating and prosecution of such offences. And if IOCO has arrested Chairman Wontumi and filed such charges against him, the Attorney General, is well versed with the facts. So they know best, why IOCO, has arrested Chairman Wontumi and, has hauled him before the investigative authority. I don't think that it's a ruse. There must be some substance in it, and if anyone is in doubt, the courts are there, to go and test the correctness of the charges.
I see, lawyer. We'll leave the accusations there because at this point, that is all we know about why IOCO has been keeping Chairman Wontumi. But I do want to connect the two, because if these are really serious accusations, would you think that that is why perhaps the bail condition is also so high?
I don't think the bail condition is too high. Cross-border crime is cross-border crime. Causing financial loss is causing financial loss. If the particulars of the charges, can be proven, I don't see, why Chairman Wontumi and his team of lawyers, be accusing the Attorney General and his outfit, that the thing is too excessive. Let them go to court. That is a place to go and test whether a bond is excessive or not. If it is too excessive, it can be reviewed. There's always an order one can obtain for evaluation, of excessive bonds.
I see, lawyer.
Bonds, yes.
Very well. I'll have you explain that in a bit, but since you've sped up into the second phase of our conversation, let's get right into it, because we also know that the minority is making calls for Chairman Wontumi's immediate release as they demand a review of his bail conditions. We can get into that right now because tonight the Minority Caucus members end a sit-in protest on the frontage of IOCO's offices here in Accra. The MPs sat on the ground demanding a review of Chairman Wontumi's bail and his immediate discharge. The sit-in was preceded by a walkout in Parliament where the leader of the side, Alexander Apenyo-Makin, made the first call. Let's take a listen.
IOCO, without delay, must revoke and vary that onerous bail condition. The man is still in the hospital. You are demanding 50 million worth of property. Yesterday, when one surety got there, they now said that the person to go and do inspection has closed. It's not available. You go there at 10 o'clock, they say it's not available. Mr. Speaker, we should not do this to ourselves until IOCO is able to do the right thing. We, the MPP side, however our numbers, will protest by absenting ourselves from proceedings of this house and join him. We are all going to sleep there with him, and we are not going to ask for any property. We don't have 50 million worth of properties. Where is he going to get it from? They'll go and bring landed documents.
Now, according to him, the bail condition is just to punish Wontumi, and if the situation persists, the caucus may be forced to absent themselves from parliamentary proceedings. Now, that position was echoed when they gathered at IOCO's offices.
The Constitution, they should vary the bail term. The man is unwell. He's in their custody. They know. So they should vary. Wontumi will not run anywhere. And I'm telling our friends in the NDC, 4 years will soon come. And if they think what they are doing is right, they should watch it. They should watch it. Treat others the way you expect them to do unto you.
Are you?
So if you keep Wontumi, is he using bail to punish him? We are here, we are protesting. We expect him to do the right thing. What has Wontumi done? Huh? Why are they?
We can also take a listen to the Nsawama Dredri MP, Frank Anodompre.
The events of the past few days have cast a dark and chilling shadow over the states of our democracy. What happened to Mr. Bernard Enchibu-Esiako, known as Chairman Wontumi, is nothing short of a national disgrace. It is a stain on our conscience and a threat to every citizen who still believes that Ghana is a land governed by laws, not political vendettas. We are not here to shield wrongdoing, but we are here because a line has been crossed. A dangerous, unacceptable line that signals that state of power can now be used to humiliate, traumatize, and silence citizens under the pretext of justice. This was not an arrest. It was a clear ambush. It was a calculated display of brute force.
Now, what you may not see at this time is that the MPs chanted, calling for justice, bringing traffic to a standstill, and all this amid heavy police presence to maintain order. And perhaps in the course of, those are some pictures from the place. You see Jerry Ahmed, the Wejagbawe MP there. These pictures were professionally taken by Clifford Owusu here at TV3, the award-winning photographer here. But there you have it, the pictures that tell the story of how the MPs from the minority side in Parliament took no prisoners, went there, sat on the floor, and made their case known. You also had some of the very important positions that they have declared as far as Chairman Wontumi's continuous detention is concerned, asking questions like, what has he done? Well, tonight, the Deputy Attorney General has told us what he has allegedly done, why he is being kept, why he's being investigated. They also asked the question as to whether or not Iyoko is overstepping its bound because, listen, 50 million cedis is a bit too much, according to them, and it's just a way to punish Chairman Wontumi and keep him there a little longer. But is there any truth to this? Let's put it all together. We're keeping all the angles on check. I have with me lawyer Kweku Ansah-Sare, is former director of the School of Law. We also have a political science analyst, Dr. Richard Amakuba, and then security analyst, Dr. Victor Doke. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining our conversation. Lawyer, you were already on, so I'll keep on with you just before I pick thoughts from other panel members today. Is there any truth to the position being espoused by the minority leaders? Well, I'm not sure lawyer can hear me. We'll fix that connection. I'll take that to Dr. Victor Doke at this point. Doc, I mean, from what the narration we have given tonight, is there any truth to the position being put across by the minority side?
Hello?
Well,
That the chairman is being kept, because not solely because of what the law requires that he should be kept in for, but it's just because of the political side to it, if that's what you mean. But holistically, when we look at this political dynamics of the country, what has happened in the past is give and take, all right, depending on who's in office. And the state apparatus or state institutions, unfortunately, who hitherto are supposed to be independent and regulated, are used, unfortunately, to, satisfy political, interest. Now, coming to the current issue now, we're looking at the charges that have been leveled against the gentleman, as the Deputy AG has put. Let's look at how, going forward, how is this gentleman going to also come up with his defense and all of that? So now he's been leveled against his charges. What next? Litigation process will start and all of that. But whether he's been kept, long enough because of political reasons, what does the law say? What does the law require beyond 48 hours?
That's a really important question, because we also have to put it into perspective that Chairman Wontumi has been granted bail, but he hasn't been able to meet those bail conditions, and according to his supporters, it's only because the conditions are not reasonable. So let me take that conversation now to Dr. Amakuba. Is it really the case that the bail is unreasonable?
Well, useful. There's government at work, and that's how it's supposed to be. Now, we don't understand democracy. I won't say we, not everybody. And some people, in this instance, it was the MPP, the minority. When a member of your party does something wrong and is charged with the government, doesn't mean that everybody in the party should come with him to the police station and make noise so that he can be freed. I don't understand it. That's what they did, but it didn't work. So I'm sure he's still there, he's still in jail. And they didn't get any right from Yoko to respond to them. So they'll have to wait till in the morning to do it again. So I wasn't surprised today when I saw it. It's government of work. It was long overdue. Wontumi has said and done a lot of things, unlawful things. So if nobody can do it, even to him. I wasn't surprised at all.
I see, Doc. But when you say he has done a lot of unlawful things, how do you mean?
Oh, he was okay. Came on TV, his radio station, TV station, showed gold bars that he says he has gotten from his activities as a miner, laid it on the line, and all of that. You say it is not right. You can't do that. It just maybe he didn't think that the chicken would come to roast this way, but that's what happened. You're showing that you have money. Well, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you get the money? And everybody knows that your activities are not entirely legal. You're not trying to hide. You're trying to prove to everybody that you do this. You have money and this. Okay, that's a result of it. And that's what has happened to him. Of course, I wish he was a little bit circumspect about some of the things he said and did. But the chickens have come home roost. That's what I say.
I'll bring in lawyer and Sasare now. Lawyer, you see, when Alexander Penyomake, the member of parliament, was speaking there, he makes reference to Article 296 on the exercise of discretionary power, reminding Iyoko to refer to that. And I just want to share bits and pieces of that with our viewers. Article 296A talks about where in this constitution or in any other law discretionary power is vested in any person or authority, A, that discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid. B, the exercise of the discretionary power shall not be arbitrary, capricious, or biased, either by resentment, prejudice, or personal dislike, and shall be in accordance with due process of law. Is there any indication that Iyoko may have flouted Article 296? Lawyer, I'll take it again. I'm asking, is there any indication that Iyoko has flouted Article 296? Well, it would appear we don't have lawyer at the moment. We'll rework the lines and bring him back on those telephone lines. But let's jump back onto the ship with Dr. Victor Dokedok. I know you have given your initial comments on this situation. From a security point of view, we saw what happened again. Is it imperative that we ensure that it does not repeat itself in the manner it did today?
Very much so. I expect much from the state security approaches, and that the intelligence network should be broadened and relooked at, because now you're talking about opposition parties, and in this kind of instances, right, I'm not going to limit it to one opposition party. It could be persons in other opposition parties, or even people in the incumbent government itself. Now, when you have such situations like this, and I'm saying this because I'm linking it to the work that Oral did with regards to the initial findings, okay, that will largely involve people from the past government, okay? So then, if this is so, and prosecution start, you should be able to preempt, gather intelligence as to movement of personality, just so you would prepare extensively. Your early warning systems have to be enacted and pick up signs for you to prepare ahead. Now, I expected that with this incident that happened throughout today, there has been some signs that have been given to the authorities. Thereby, today we saw a lot of physical security structures, the barricades that were brought in. I wanted to see that yesternight, okay, you barricade the area, 3 levels of barricades, first, second, third. So whoever crosses the first one would be one. Second, you can pick that person up. And third, it means you've breached. So then you can be arrested. Because then, one, is the assembly lawful? It's not. You are obstructing justice. You are obstructing the work of the state security apparatus. So therefore, you have to be picked up. Now, aside all that, what are we doing with regards to collaboration also? We see a very extensive collaboration with regards to Yoko, the CID. How about picking one or two positives from what the CID does with their what? Briefings. Here and there we hear about briefings on criminal issues, the updates and what they are doing. I think Yoko is not far from it. We can also, pick positives from that, and then they can also update the citizen. Yes, the AG has come out, but what exactly is it that needs to be what? Disseminated to the public. So you won't have people who are just walking by and wanting to come there for just any other reasons. The hierarchy of opposition parties should also know that when anybody from your society organization is picked up, it is because the state institutions are working and they want to ascertain your involvement in that situation. So party officials should note their behavior, mannerism would add to what the incitements, the violence, or the agitations that will be felt. And when that happens, it means the ordinary citizens is the ones going to suffer. People should know that when anything should go on, some of these parliamentarians, right, have immunity. So you cannot just take them in as you would ordinary citizens. People have to note that. So then if they are following, they know when to follow and how to follow. I think by and large, Yoko has learned from this, and any other security agency has learned from this. The NIB, the National Security. Well, I don't think people would mass up like the way they did in front of the National Security and NIB. But then, Yoko has taken a cue, and I think going forward, to do the needful with regards to what barricading and protecting the premises when they pick up, people like this. Yeah.
Indeed, Doug. Let me engage Lawyer Nsasari now. Because of the connection we have, I'll stick with him a bit longer, and then I'll come back to the rest of our panel members. Lawyer, thank you so much for returning to the conversation. But I was asking that, the Minority Caucus leader makes reference to Article 296 on the exercise of discretionary powers, asking Yoko to respect, the law on that. Is there any indication that Yoko has fallen foul of Article 296?
Thank you very much. I don't think that the exercise of discretion has been abused by Yoko at all. I haven't read the particulars of the charges, but I don't think that Chairman Wontumi's position is that there is an abuse of the exercise of discretion. I think from what you have read and been on your television screen, he and his lawyers are saying that the bail conditions are excessive. And for me, the bail conditions are excessive. So what they are saying is that if Yoko has imposed 50 million, which Chairman Wontumi finds excessive, then it is an abuse of the discretion, in deciding whether or not, to impose 50 million or 10 million or 10% of whatever. But if they have any such challenges, the first way to go is the court. They cannot go and sit on the floor, of Parliament or Yoko, offices and hope, that something or anything good can come of it. If there are challenges, they should file an application for bail and, couple it with an order for revision or variation of the bail bond. That is, what they are reasonably expected to do. What they are doing now, to me, is a waste of the taxpayers' hard-earned money. They go there, we are paying them to legislate. We are not paying them to go and sit on the floor, and cry foul over what is happening to, Chairman Wontumi. I think that, they are rather abusing the discretion, do themselves. enacted in Article 296 of the Constitution. They are legislated, and they know that what they are doing is contrary to the law. If they can if they can point to any rule, any fundamental human right of Chairman Wontumi that has been downheld by Yoko, then they can attract sympathy. But so far, they have not been able to point to the violation of the fundamental human right of Chairman Wontumi, except that the 50 million bail, bond is excessive.
So as it stands now, as things are now, Yoko hasn't abused its powers. That is your position.
Yeah, that's it. They haven't violated the fundamental human rights. If they think so, let them, test the correctness of Yoko's position, before a court of competent jurisdiction.
Right, but if they were to go to court, if they were to go to court to have the bail conditions varied, we're looking at 3 days for that to go through the entire process. That's also three more nights for Chairman Wontumi in the custody of Yoko, isn't it?
Well, they can dialogue with the Yoko officials, and avail themselves of whatever opportunity Yoko can, give them. But, my sister, the truth of the matter is both parties don't want to believe is the fact that this is a tit-for-tat game. And I've said that people that nonsense, you can't condemn. Sooner, than later. The other that is going on now is simply pay back time. The NPP gave it to the NDC. The NDC are now in power, and they are paying them back. So good for good. Dog back.
Very well, lawyer, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Lawyer Kweku Ansasare is former director of the Ghana School of Law. But I still have here with me Dr. Richard Amoakoba, who is a political analyst, and Dr. Victor Doke, a security analyst as well. Dr. Amoakoba, we've kept you quiet for a little bit, so I'll bring you on just before I move on to Dr. Doke. The issue of the bill, for some of the party members, it is political persecution. What do you think about that?
No, it wasn't for me, because I know what has happened in the past. And who in this country doesn't know what has happened in the past? Maybe it is political. What else is criminal? What else is, if you're engaging in illegal activity, that's a criminal activity. That's what it is, So, who didn't know his company, Akonta Mines, this and that? Hey, who doesn't know? We all live in this country. So I wasn't surprised at all. He can claim it is political. I don't know what criminal is. If you go run around afoul of the law will deal with you. That's what has happened. As far as I'm concerned, that's what it was. They can claim whatever they want. It doesn't matter. The issues are many. He wasn't just arrested because of his activities as a gold miner. I think this one, the government charges that he has spent some money or whatever, $50 million. Hey, $50 million, not a small amount of money. How can poor people live in this country? Maybe our country is no longer a poor country. He's talking about big money like that. You see? That's what they were talking about.
Right. Now, Doc, again, I do want to stick on the bill conditions, but I'll move on to Dr. Doke. Dr. Doke, let's come back to those charges, because that's the latest on this matter. To have law enforcement outside the country get in touch with local law enforcement to investigate somebody, that is deep, isn't it? Chairman Wontumi is most likely in very deep trouble, isn't he?
Yes, Now, assuming myself sitting here have done some deals outside and it went sour, or I engage in some people outside who are on the books of, you know, international security watch, okay? And then I get myself involved with them, I become an accomplice. What happens is authorities outside or international authorities, and here the Interpol can come in, right? Or even talk about the FBI, the CIA, liaise through the authorities here in Ghana. Now that makes it an international crime. It makes it a big issue. Whatever it is that this gentleman was in is very huge. That alone requires that the state apparatus here in Ghana should not take anything for granted. Now, thereby releasing the full force of the law, irrespective of whatever the outcome be. Other than that, if we are not able, as a state security or a country, cooperate internationally, it breaks our reputation down. It means we are either shielding or protecting criminal acts, which this particular government, per what I've seen, the narratives from the president that he's all out to fight corruption, will not entertain. Whatever he was into is very huge. And that means that any level of collaboration from here, security apparatus, with international partners would be what? Very much done in a very transparent manner. If even it requires that he will be sent outside to aid in investigations, he will be sent outside. And I'm sorry, but there's nothing any of us can do. Nothing we can do about it other than to watch the processes and take a cue from it. This is a positive in all of this. It serves as a warning for the current appointees that whatever you're doing, whatever you deal in when it comes to state funds, whatever you're doing outside, you are being watched, and the day of accountability will come. So if you serve openly and clean, you obey the laws. I don't think even when you are called to come and answer questions, you should be fearing for your life or whatever. It is very good for our democracy and our state institutions. And then whoever comes in to say they want to accept positions, lead, take up contracts, or receive taxpayers' money, or do the needful, use the funds for whatever is being used for. So trust me, all appointees in this government are taking a cue from whatever that is happening. And it is very good for our country. That's the way I see it. But by and large, whatever that he is into, it means that we as a country and institution need to collaborate, and it's non-negotiable in that aspect.
I see. It would also appear to deal with the assertion that this could be political persecution, but of course, we would expect those who make those accusations again to show proof of that political persecution. But away from that, locally also, he's subject of investigations as well. But the point that his supporters make is that Chairman Wontumi will go nowhere. And so no matter the level of investigations, as long as he can be bailed out and still investigated, he should be given reasonable bail so that he's let out. That's not too much to ask, is it?
Well, I'm not a lawyer as such, but this is just on a logical, thinking. Now, depending on the crime that I commit, would merit the kind of bail that I get. Okay, so I think with regards to the allegations and whatever we've heard in reports and news updates, maybe what has warranted this kind of bail. But I've heard others also making the argument with regards to the gentleman Eddie Boyhen's bail conditions and all of that, and trying to juxtapose and make similar sentiments that it's basically the same thing. I really don't know much about what the law requires with regards to, that quantum of bail. But I think from just my logical reasoning, I should think it's because of the quantum of, um, issues that he's involved in. And so then that amount has been leveled against him with regards to the kind of situation he finds himself in. But with regards to the supporters, everybody has his own opinions on the way they understand issues. And I think clarity also is very important with regards to how state um, communication in that regard should come. The prosecutors, how well should we give out information, not just vaguely, but detailed information, for the followers to understand, and we in general, so we wouldn't make just statements that we don't understand. I think by and large that also needs to be looked at. So it wouldn't feel like because it's political, then the bail amount is made so huge, and then the people cannot or find it difficult or challenging to meet bail, and then it means they have to be kept in custody. I think these things all need to be looked at.
Doc, I'm hoping that Dr. Makuba, I'm hoping that your line is better now. Perhaps it's time for me to take your thoughts on the accusations being made against Chairman Wontumi, based on what you have said so far about the behavior of the man in question here. I don't think you're surprised at all that such accusations or such investigations will make him the person of interest.
The charges were many. You can take anyone you take is big. That's why I wasn't surprised at all that the bail was that high. If you are indulging a case with the government is charging that you've lost money, or the government has lost money, the state has lost money, $50 million, and they want to say, but you want it to be what? 25. No, it's the amount of money that you are in contention with. That is what they will look at to put the bail. That's what they did. But at any rate, if they charge you $50 million, you just pay 10% of that $50 million before the bail bond can be arranged and you are free. That's it. But they didn't want to do that. That's the whole issue. He didn't want to do it because he said he's a rich man. At one time he was saying that he would buy the football club, Chelsea, and all of that.
I wanted you to have the last bite on what actions you expect the minority caucus to take. Because remember, when they were leaving the frontage of Iyoko, they said they were going back to Parliament to think of their next line of action. But perhaps I'll take that question to Dr. Doke instead. Dr. Doke, from a security point of view, from our new knowledge of why Chairman Wontumi was detained by Iyoko, perhaps, and again, only perhaps, the minority caucus members should be rethinking the kind of support they are lending at this time. But more importantly, what actions do you expect them to take going forward?
Well, with regards to the minorities action, going back to think, it means that they may not have a readily available actions. They are not going to, structure out what to do. And of course, knowing that they are MPs, all actions will be legal, binded by law, so that they wouldn't flout the law. And this would also go in line with regards to the followers of the opposition parties. And then any sympathizer that wants to sympathize with them. So then, if it is going to be a demonstration, it has to be done in accordance with the law. If it has to be a walk, or a sit-down strike, or a hunger strike, all needs to be done in accordance with the law. But what would be the problem is, if we don't get carried along, the citizens, the youth don't get carried along, and we just decide to join the fray, without understanding the basis, then it becomes a problem and we'll face the law.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights on the subject matter. Dr. Victor Doke, security analyst, Dr. Richard Amwakoba, political science analyst, and then earlier was lawyer Kweku Ansa Asari. Just quickly, new updates on this issue. We're hearing from our sources that Ghana Exim Bank has sued Wontumi and served his lawyers. And I'm not talking about today. We understand that this happened 48 hours ago. And well, remember also that we had been told that there was some money involved allegedly around this whole detention, arrest, police CID, IOCO, and the likes. Our sources are now telling us that Chairman Wontumi has been sued by Ghana Exim Bank. We'll tell you more when we have more information. Meanwhile, we've been checking in on the offices of IOCO to find out whether or not people are still gathered there. And I can report to you that it is very somber. Soak in these pictures. So there it is. It's quiet, it's somber, it's dark, it's enveloped by the silent whispers of the night and decorated by the barricades of the police, who are obviously there to ensure that there is no mayhem. They're keeping peace, security, and order on the frontage of IOCO's offices here in Accra. That's the scene. Very, very much in contrast with what we saw in the last few hours of the evening, when hundreds of people had gathered there, including members of the minority caucus who were demanding the release of Chairman Wontumi. Those are the latest pictures, and this is Ghana Tonight. I'll be right back.
If
Tonight, we've been gathering new information on that strike declared by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Our labor correspondent, Daniel Lupoku, has been speaking with the Minister for Labor, Employment and Jobs, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, and he has been urging the Nurses Association not to strike but return to the negotiation table. Take a listen.
We just heard about the strike action. I've not had enough discussions with them, but it does appear they have challenges with their conditions of services. I had some very little discussion with their leaders, and I'm hoping to have a more elaborate discussions with them to get to understand exactly what we can do to help. We can only facilitate the process of their getting to what they want to ensure that we don't suffer the strike. You know, we must understand that when we embark on a strike, it has a total effect on society. In whatever sector you belong, it has a direct effect on our development. So it means that employers, stakeholders must always work together to come to conclusions where there is no need for a strike. So we are hoping that definitely as we go along, we would work to ensure that the strike is neutralized. I'm requesting them to give more chance to talking than to rush into a strike. I'm sure this is an accumulation of several interventions, but it's still important to have the opportunity to speak to wider audiences, stakeholders, so eventually we can come to a certain conclusion, because I know that eventually government must listen to them. The health authorities must listen to them if it is something that is going to bring peace to society.
Well, Dr. Rashid Pelpo is Labour Minister. This story is still unfolding. There will be more in later broadcasts. But that'll be it for Ghana Tonight today. I'm so glad that you stayed with us throughout the program. Thank you so much for your company. Have a wonderful night. I'm Keminni Amanor.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint.